Okay, should we?
We're recording now, and like I said, when it comes to Q&A, let me know if you want me to hand off the mic.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Should we start on time? Yeah, okay. Good morning, everyone, and good evening to my teammates in Hong Kong. We are the Hong Kong English Across the Curriculum project team led by Dr. Julia Chen, the next IWEC plenary speaker you are to meet during today's lunch. I'm very pleased today to be joined by my team members, Vicky Mann from Hong Kong Baptist University, Dr. Grace Lim from Polytechnic University of Hong Kong.
Morning.
And Dr. Elsa Zhang from the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology.
Hi, morning.
Okay, and me, the panel chair of today, Christy Chan from City University of Hong Kong. Today, we have put together a presentation on our 8 years of interinstitutional and interdisciplinary collaboration. To be precise, why the team came together, what we have been doing in EAC, and how we have been impact learning and teaching. What are our future direction and suggestion for implementing EAC effectively in tertiary education? The panel session will finish with a Q&A and discussion. Now, since we're talking about the Hong Kong perspective, let me start with the context in which our EAC work is situated, Hong Kong. Hong Kong is a city with a unique history and linguistic ecology. Before 1997, the handover back to the Chinese sovereignty, we were under the British colonial rule. Hong Kong school had the liberty to choose their own medium of instruction. Between the 1970s and 1980s, primary education was dominated by Chinese, while secondary education was dominated by English, which was supposed to be the medium of instruction for all subjects, except Chinese language, Chinese literature, and Chinese history. So English is officially the MOI of our secondary school. And about 90% of the secondary school students were receiving their schooling officially through English or a mixed code of English and Cantonese. So we could roughly conclude that before 1997, the pre-1997 high schooler have average to high proficiency in English. With the proclamation of the Sino-British Joint Declaration in 1984, there emerged major changes in language policy. The Hong Kong government made vigorous efforts to promote Chinese medium of instruction, highlighting the importance of mother tongue education in better knowledge acquisition. A key milestone in the language policy change is the publication of the Education Commission Report number 4 in 1990, 7 years before the handover, which spelled out a clear long-term language policy of streaming students into English or Chinese medium school based on an assessment conduct in year 6. So school were also required to be consistent in the MOI to eliminate mixed code teaching. In other words, school could only deliver the teaching in purely English or purely Chinese. No mixed code allowed. So the report had another important message that the majority of the students would learn more effectively through their mother tongue than through English. 2 years before the handover, the Hong Kong government announced all the new civil service will be required to be biliterate in English and Chinese and trilingual in English, Cantonese, and Putonghua, which further consolidate the equal importance of English and Chinese as a medium of official communication. Before that is only English. Then came 1997, when we witnessed the handover of Hong Kong, not just politically, but linguistically. The full implementation of the new language policy involves streaming the majority of the Hong Kong students to the CMI, Chinese as a medium of instruction stream, and the minority to around 100 elite EMI, English as a medium of instruction school. Only 100 schools will be allowed to conduct English as an MOI. So you can imagine the reaction of parents and schools towards this drastic language reform. Students used to have average to high proficiency in both English and Chinese, but everyone was worried about the washback of the CMI policy. After a decade of strong social and community pressure, as many parents and schools strongly believe in a social currency of English, in May 2009, 10 years after the implementation of the CMI policy, the Education Department finally announced the fine-tuned policy. Secondary schools were no longer bifurcate into CMI or EMI, but were given the flexibility to adopt a more diversified MOI teaching modes, including totally CMI, they can choose totally Chinese medium of instruction, or a choice of CMI and EMI in some of the subjects like physics, chemistry, biology. They can use English instead of Chinese. Or they can choose totally EMI immersion, all subjects in English. The criteria for English as a medium of instruction depends on the student's ability, the teacher's ability, and the school's support strategy and resources. The fine-tuned policy of the MOI illustrates the telling truth that English and Putonghua score high for practical and business reasons, while Cantonese, my mother tongue, has become a local dialect, a local solidarity code among Hong Kong people. But this solidarity code is slowly changing as Putonghua is more frequently heard in our city, especially in the last 5 to 6 years, okay, and schools as well. There's a stronger presence of Putonghua speaking students in all education sectors, primary, secondary, tertiary, in the form of new immigrants coming to study in Hong Kong. That means mainland Chinese student with a Hong Kong parent start schools in Hong Kong. Or very unique in Hong Kong, we got the cross-border student, meaning mainland children with a Hong Kong parent reside in mainland China, border city, but commute daily to Hong Kong for school. And last of all would be non-local mainland Chinese students finishing the 4-year curriculum in Hong Kong University. These 3 groups have added more to the linguistic diversity of the Hong Kong population, which used to be only Cantonese speaking, now is more Putonghua and yeah. While it is hard to imagine the impact of MOI policy on Hong Kong students' English proficiency, Hong Kong English Standard has recorded a gradual drop along the years as publicized in Hong Kong newspapers. If we look at this table, according to the EF English Proficiency Index, which attempts to rank countries by the equity of English language skills amongst those adults who took the EF test, Hong Kong ranked 12th globally in 2011, but in this table, it dropped to 31st. Now, I'm not saying that, okay, our English level is lower, but it got surpassed. Okay, the figure shows that more countries have been surpassing Hong Kong in terms of English standard. And Hong Kong English seems to be at the lower end of the spectrum of high proficiency, close enough to moderate proficiency. Given such background, we may see that Hong Kong English today is more likely to be influenced by many varieties. And the recent trend of local young people continuing their study at overseas high school and university, while some mainland students may be coming to Hong Kong school and university, and there is a call for internationalization in all our universities, have brought about very interesting linguistic diversity to our undergraduate population. Major of them come through the Hong Kong school system, as described earlier on in the EMI and CMI school. Others may be coming through the international school system like the UK A-level, UK GCE A-level, or International Baccalaureate IB, as well as the college entrance examination, Gaokao, in China. These groups have different English writing and speaking experiences and needs and competence. As university teachers, we are facing challenges of dealing with students of much wider diversity. different English needs, and overall slightly lower English standard than before. Here are some figures released by 2 public universities which support the finding that there's an increase in the non-local and mainland undergraduate students. So against such context, our project team was curious if the existing curriculum provides sufficient and in-time English support for our students with different English baselines. EAP and ESP training, though deemed equally essential for academic success in students' senior year. In this table, you can see they are valued differently across universities. Half of the institutions as shown in this table do not offer English training beyond the freshman years, including my own university. While the rest are given funding to extend support for faculty-based discipline-specific English, ESP, or English for specific academic purposes, ESAP, in the sophomore and senior years. The scarcity of the ESP and ESAP courses in sophomore years and senior years is also attributable to the faculty decision to reserve more curriculum space for their core study, the discipline subject, clinical placement, internship, or even overseas exchange. Our students are very busy, okay, throughout the 4 year, okay. So English is more like happening in the first 1.5 year of the 4 year of candidature. So in our different university, we had similar observation and concern. The medium of instruction and assessment in our university is English, but we see many of our students have difficulty handling academic English. However, there is no space in the packed undergraduate curriculum to add more English courses. So what can we do? We care about our students' needs. We see that we need more English training than what they can get from the English language courses that, due to their generic nature, do not cover specific English skills such as science and engineering students need lab report writing, and business students need to write case study report. We decided to model on the US WEC model, writing across the curriculum model, and changed the name to English across the curriculum. Or we define it, not change it, I define it as EAC, to suit the local context for 2 reasons. First, Hong Kong is a bilingual city. Most of our students are non-native speakers of English. So we felt that we should specify what we help our students with English. And we want to help students not only with writing, but also speaking. Hence, English across the curriculum. Along the years of collaboration with faculty, what I mean is more than nearly a decade long of collaboration, we understand that funding may come high and low, and faculty buy-in vary across leadership. We therefore have to prepare for the high and low tides of funding and manpower. Our model have been evolving to such a state that we come up with a framework that is potentially more sustainable, more renewable, and more concerted to support our students. The EAC work is often an uphill battle. Our goal is having more faculty, language teacher, and technologists, educational technologists in our camp. My colleague, Vicky Mann, is going to talk about our EAC model and some impact of our 8 years of work.
Thank you, Christy. Well, our EAC model has 2 objectives. First, we want to support students' English learning by providing them with resources to handle course assignments in their disciplines. And second, we would like to enhance faculty members' awareness about things that they could do to enhance students' English learning. In terms of supporting students' English learning, our team adopts a tripartite approach, believing in the importance of providing students with timely, tailored, and ubiquitous disciplinary language resources and support. To provide students with tailored and timely disciplinary English resources, such as lab reports and business proposals, Our team conducts situational and textual analyses of students' writing samples to find out their discipline-specific needs and have produced over 300 short and long writing guides for more than 30 disciplines. We also offer a range of face-to-face and online workshops and briefings just in time for students to learn more about the English skills required to complete their major course assessments. To enable ubiquitous learning, our writing guides are easily accessible online and via the mobile app Capstone Ninja that the team develops. To facilitate the design of discipline-specific learning materials, our team conducts textual analyses of students' writing samples. Well, our analyses indicate three main areas of weaknesses in their academic writing. First, most students fail to show the significance of their research by clearly identifying the research gap and research objectives. Second, meta-discourse markers such as hedges, boosters, and attitude markers are often inappropriately used to develop academic voice. Third, most students fail to show research mapping to show the relationship between the findings of their report and published studies. Now, due to time constraint, let me show you two samples here to understand our students' writing problems in their academic work. Question 1. Now, in this excerpt, which shows part of the research statement in a humanities capstone report, how does the student establish the research gap? Let's see if there's any response from the audience. Or maybe Christy can help us to gather the answers.
This is our student sample.
It's a very
Can you see the
typical sort
research
of
gap?
work. Or did the student try to establish the research gap? Christy, not yet, supposedly, the slide. Well, okay, let me give you what our analysis, or maybe let us present what our analysis is. We think this sample fails to show a number of different things, and it represents three major problems in most of our students' academic work. First, the research gap is unclear, and no relevant research was used to highlight the gap because the student kept describing personal experiences. For instance, I have a mentally challenged brother, and I've been witnessing how his needs are ignored, etc., just presenting anecdotes. Second, the paragraph is convoluted without any clear idea progression. And third, we think there's a lack of academic citation to highlight the significance of this topic. And now in another student sample from environmental science, although the research objective that is plastic waste was mentioned, and the student did try to cite an external source from Greenpeace 2019, recent studies on the topic and the importance of the current research cannot be found, and the research gap is not clearly identified. So to address our students' writing difficulties, our team has produced a range of tailored learning materials that students can access anytime, anywhere. Our Capstone Ninja app, which offers discipline-specific writing tips for senior students completing their final year projects, is one of the examples of ubiquitous student support. As you can see, our app includes a range of tailored materials that target our students' discipline-specific needs. On this slide is a sample learning unit for humanities, where step-by-step guidelines are given on writing a stronger research statement. In addition to supporting student learning through our Capstone Ninja app, our team has produced a number of writing guides. On this slide is a sample online resource for nursing students on tips for preparing poster presentations. To address our students' oral presentation needs, a number of bite-sized videos on academic presentations are produced with a student partner, and these videos are accessible on YouTube. Well, our tailored and ubiquitous EAC resources go hand in hand with our timely provision of disciplinary English learning support. Our team offers a range of workshops and briefings, often in collaboration with faculty members, to produce or to introduce our Capstone Ninja app and to provide just-in-time discipline-specific writing tips for students completing their major course assignments. Overall, our EAC resources are well received by students, and as indicated in our Capstone Ninja user surveys, students found the learning units most useful. In particular, they love the writing tips and examples, as well as the interactive quizzes. In addition to supporting student learning, our team also reached out to discipline teachers by providing them with a lot of professional development workshops on a range of topics, such as tips for writing and publishing in journals, as well as advice on improving their pedagogical skills and course assessment design. As shown in the figures, our professional development workshops have attracted an increasing number of participants over the past 10 years, and they were very well received. In particular, our EAC support has contributed to teaching enhancement by boosting faculty members' confidence in teaching and making the lectures more interactive. In terms of research writing support, faculty members found the publication tips provided in our workshops helpful in their manuscript preparation and critical evaluation of their own written work. So to summarize, we are excited that the impact of our EAC support is positive, especially in terms of pedagogical enhancements and contributions to the scholarship of teaching and learning. According to our post-EAC intervention follow-up, a nursing teacher reported that she has started to use more concise language in lectures in order to get students' attention and to enhance their understanding of the lecture materials. Our teaching staff in the Electronic and Information Engineering department submitted a grant proposal on improving students' oral presentation skills. And faculty members in the logistics and marketing departments disseminated their EAC collaboration experience and action research in local and overseas internet conferences. And an early career faculty member in the electrical engineering department found the publication workshops resourceful for his role as a journal editor. Now, my colleague, Grace, will share with you more the impact of our EAC work through examining 2 case studies. Over to you, Grace.
Thank you, Vicky. You may now have some ideas on our EAC initiatives and activities. I'll bring the discussion forward to focus on 2 cases that we've been working with and the impacts of our activities on student learning, course design, and evaluation. In almost all our collaboration with faculty members, we generally adopted 5 elements. They are, first, meet faculty members, which aims to identify the assessment genre to be supported and its purposes. We could also get a general picture of student needs and weaknesses. Next, we'll ask for student writing and speaking samples, which help develop an in-depth understanding of the specific assessment genre and identify areas that students may need help with. Then we'll develop tailored writing or speaking resources and pass them on to the faculty member for comments. Very often, we include 3 broad areas in our resources for one assessment. For example, rhetorical structure of the assessment in reflective journal, discipline-specific language features for this type of journal, and referencing skills. Once the semester starts, faculty members usually would invite us to deliver training briefings to students on the resources that we have provided in their lecture. Finally, we'll evaluate the impacts of our collaboration in 3 ways: grading of writing or speaking assessment samples by external assessors, surveys, and focus group interviews. What are the 2 courses and their assessments about? As shown here, the first course is on a final year project from the biomedical engineering department, carrying a weighting of 6 credits across 2 semesters. The EAC team supports both the project report writing and the oral defense. The second course is from the Logistics, Maritime, and Shipping program, in which a case study report is supported by us. It takes up 3 credits in the program and lasts for 1 semester. In general, we follow 3 principles in supporting students. First, tailored, which suggests that our resources cater for their task requirements and assessment criteria. Second, timely, which means we deliver briefings of the genre guides in student lecture to help them understand our resources and be able to apply them in producing effective writing and speaking assessments. Last, our resources are ubiquitous. We'll ensure that students gain access to the genre guide on their course sites before Capstone Linger is available and on Capstone Linger as well. Here is a screenshot of our genre guide on the BME course. We've developed 10 sets of the resources for different sections in the report and the oral presentation. They are all available on the BME course site, so students will be able to locate them easily. Let me show briefly what the genre guide does for delivering effective oral presentation. Well, the full set of resources of guides in rhetorical moods, signposting language, in-text citation, coherence in presentation, common language programs, and visual aid design. You are seeing a part of our tips here on rhetorical moves. For example, introduction, body of presentation, conclusion, and Q&A section. Another example you are seeing here is the resources on signposting language and expressions for each move. This type of guide is important to our students as English is only a second or even a foreign language to them. So we believe the resources help them develop an effective academic presentation. Now, let's see how the external assessor rated the BME students' individual oral presentation of their projects in 2019. The presentation was open to all students in the department and lasted for 30 minutes. Each student was graded by 3 examiners who were supervisors of the projects as well. The evaluation involved 12 students, slightly higher than a third of the cohort size. They were rated on 6 aspects, that our resources have provided information on, the scores in the table show that half of the students performed very well with a high grade, while only one student performs satisfactorily. The external assessor thus regarded their presentations to be effective or highly effective. We've extracted comments from the assessor on 2 students who performed well. In the case of student 1 here, the comments which are highlighted in blue show that the student is able to signal the structure of her presentation explicitly and clearly, making it easy for the audience to follow and understand. This is very important as the content from this course is very technical and medically related. So having a clear structure will definitely facilitate the audience understanding. The second student here was commented to have used appropriate cohesive devices for connecting different ideas and organize complex concepts using topic sentences. And the assessors made the overall remark as a highly cohesive presentation. While contents, analysis, and ideas are important in the final year project report, the faculty member, Dr. Wang, who was the course leader of this program, was also interested in knowing whether students made any improvements in their writing and language skills themselves. This is probably because one of the assessment criteria is on English, grammar, and spelling. So after 2 years of collaboration with us, Dr. Wang conducted an evaluation of students' component grade on this criterion. He found that students made noticeable improvement in their language and presentation skills. His data shows that 13% more of students scored a higher grade compared with before, and a lower percentage of average or low grades was scored. In other words, the quality of students' writing has improved as a result of EAC intervention. I now will turn to case 2. This is a course where students have to analyze one case provided by the course and present the information to support their arguments in the format of a case study report. The EAC team has provided case study guidelines for students. And at the onset of the course, students were given 6 sets of data files. Here's an example of a data file. You can see that descriptions are provided on the case on the left-hand side here on the slide, and a few prompts in the format of questions are given at the end of the file for students to think about and respond to. This task is challenging, as students may opt to answer questions only and focus on the factual information without presenting their arguments. After collaboration with the EAC team, the assessment guideline has changed in the following way. Format of writing should be a connected essay in about 1,200 to 1,500 words. Questions and answer formats is not accepted, and writing skills will be assessed. In addition, referencing skills will also be required. So to prepare students to be able to write such a long essay, the EAC team developed 5 sets of writing resources shown here. They basically meet the 3 requirements set by the assessment: structured writing, connector writing, reference back arguments. Now, let's take a detailed look at one of the sections, introduction of the case study, to elaborate. In this section, the genre guide suggests students to answer 3 questions. They are: what the issue is about, why the issue is important, and how you're going to discuss the issue. With this type of guidance, students have to plan their case report carefully. In the genre guide on the body of the case report, we remind the students of the purpose of writing in this section and advise them to use a more structured approach by having headings and elaborate explanations. We also recommend following the structure of a typical paragraph when organizing their ideas, topic sentence, and supporting sentences in each long paragraph. The online guide is also introduced face-to-face to students in Dr. Pang's lecture, and it is expected that the students will be able to write more coherent case study reports. In the following slides, I'll illustrate the impacts of the use of the genre guide on our students' writing. Before EAC collaboration, students only responded to the prompts by points by putting question number in each of the answer columns. As a result, there were 3 separate, discrete, and unconnected pieces of writing. It was not written in an essay format with a running structure of background, problem analysis, solutions, and conclusion. The use of citations was also very limited, and there was no reference list. The writing style was not consistent in terms of formality and register, as the student did not think of this assessment as a structured report. So after taking in the EAC team's recommendations, Dr. Pang has incorporated our ideas in this course instruction and requested students to write in an essay format. So we can see that the format and structure have changed substantially afterwards. Students have used proper formats and structure, headings, topic sentences, cohesive devices, and referencing skills. They have also used more citations to support their arguments with more accurate referencing skills. Students also use more formal language, normalizations, passive constructions in writing their case reports, making it more concise and impersonal. So the writing has become more connected, more coherent, and more academic overall. The assessment criteria of this course have also been impacted as a result of EAC collaboration. The content has become lower in weighting, and the communication component has gained more attention and importance. In the later stage, sub-criteria have also been introduced, and students receive a score on their organization and English component grade other than just a content grade. To wrap up, Dr. Pang is very positive about the changes regarding them to be beneficial for students' writing and language skills. Though grading is more time-consuming for faculty members now, he considers it worth the changes. The students, however, are not positive about the changes and thought the course has placed too much emphasis on the communication aspects, since it is focused on quantitative skills training. Now, my colleague Elsa will share more about our future directions.
Thank you, Grace. So what's next then? There are three main aspects of our future work. Number one, we'll continue our endeavor in promoting and developing EAC. We'll continue to support faculty members to help their students with the academic English they need for course assessments, such as lab reports, final year report writing, and project presentations. Second, we've started two funded projects to explore new multimodal genres for teaching and learning purposes. More importantly, we'll situate EAC work in the Gen AI era and find out what has come and what we need to do. Let me give you an example of our ongoing work. In the current project with the engineering faculty of Polytechnic University of Hong Kong, we're exploring the possibility of having AI and human intelligence integrated into a virtual platform where students can access one-stop learning materials, useful tips on designing visuals, and receive AI feedback on the video recorded presentations. As you can see from this slide, next slide, as you can see from this slide, there are two new EAC projects we're starting. I'd like to take you through these two new initiatives. First, I'll talk about our new multimodal genre project. And there are some overview points in the box on the left of the slide. This is the government-funded teaching award grant, and we have the opportunity to explore new multimodal genre that our digital native students need badly. This new project is a response to two questions carried by our team for quite a long time. So what are the two questions? Number one, our digital native undergraduates are immersed in the 21st century. Sorry.
Okay, you can speak louder. Okay, closer to the mic.
I speak louder.
Mm.
Okay, this new project is a response to two questions. Is it better?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, sorry, wait. Okay, so I'll continue. This new project is a response to two questions carried by our team for quite a long time. So what are the two questions? Number one, our digital native undergraduates are immersed in the 21st century new literacy technologies, but are our language courses preparing them for the future? The second question, and also very important one, what can EAC offer? Our digital native students read and produce text using multiple methods and multiple modes rather than the traditional paper-based approach. And this has changed the communication forms and purposes substantially. And of course, the writing process and audiences are also very different. Text produced by our students are often developed through collaborations. So the whole learning process is becoming more connected, loop-like, rather than simply linear. So a paradigm shift is required. Okay, this is a very brief overview of our first new project. I'd like to talk about our team's second new initiative. And you can see some overview points in the info box on the right of the slide.
Right.
The second new EAC project is a continuation of the AI-assisted oral presentation platform I mentioned earlier. The project team will be integrating human and machine intelligence, or some people call it hybrid intelligence, HI, to produce effective rubric-driven teaching and learning elements to help students overcome their speaking anxiety and improve the oral presentations. When the project is done, students can submit their recorded oral presentation practices onto the virtual platform for AI to evaluate the performance in pronunciation, intonation, pace, facial expression, body language, etc., with reference to the rubrics. The platform will also allow self-assessment, peer assessment, and formative assessment by teachers. And the platform will also enable students to monitor and track the oral presentation performances. Well, these are our two new exciting EAC projects. So many people know that we're starting these two projects, and they ask us, so what new multimodal genres we have in mind? The answer is we don't know exactly yet. But of course, we know that in recent years, some new multimodal genres have been used in the academic domain already, and they have changed the teaching and learning modes quite substantially. For example, visual abstract. Creating the visual abstract requires students to analyze and synthesize information from different sources. This process can help students develop synthesis skills and critical thinking skills, which are extremely essential for academic success. Academic blog is another popular multimodal genre that combines elements of traditional academic writing with digital media and online communication. By combining elements of traditional academic writing with digital media and online communication, academic blog can facilitate interdisciplinary communication and provide a very useful platform for student researchers and graduate students to establish themselves as researchers in the fields. Digital storytelling is another popular multimodal genre that allows students to express their creativity by combining different media to tell a story of the research topics. This can be a very useful way to engage students and make learning more enjoyable. For our students, digital storytelling can be a more engaging and interactive way to present information than using traditional text-based formats. This can be particularly useful for pop science, where the goal is to communicate complex scientific concepts to the general public. And of course, infographics is another popular multimodal genre used in universities for students to present their project findings and recommendations. Infographics can help students develop their visual literacy skills by requiring them to interpret different sources, synthesize them, and create visual representation of information. These are also very important skills in today's digital age, where visual communication is becoming increasingly important. To give an example, at City University of Hong Kong, a course entitled University Writing has already used infographics as one of the assessments. Students work in groups to synthesize research information and create an infographic presentation together. Then they continue to do individual research and write up the report individually. Yes, as you can see, we do know something about some of these multimodal genres, but there are new genres emerging and things can be pretty overwhelming. As said, in our new EAC projects, we are most interested in exploring new multimodal genres and how they will shape the future of our EAC work. It seems that one main distinction between traditional and new genres of communication is that traditional genres have stricter rules and conventions, while new genres may be more flexible, but multiple. Multimodal genre can be more engaging and effective in conveying complex information with a possible inclusion of images and sounds. These days, collaboration is becoming increasingly important in projects, and new digital multimodal communication allows for interactive genres that can engage audiences in impactful and exciting ways. Discipline-specific academic genres, of course, remain very important in academic writing, but interdisciplinary genres are also becoming increasingly popular as academic fields intersect and overlap. Our team have just started our first new project, which is the government-funded project we've sent this questionnaire to faculty members, later to professional people. We want to know more about the new multimodal genre that different people are using. And we'll follow up by interviews for us to dig out more about these new and emerging academic and professional multimodal genres which our students are facing. Hopefully, after analyzing the data, we'll have a much clearer understanding of these new genres that academic and professional people are using. And we hope that we can present some meaningful data and findings next year here at IWEC. And suddenly we're in the era of Gen AI. Surprise. It's difficult to predict exactly how the arrival of Gen AI might affect the research of new multimodal genres, and it depends on how the tool is developed and users are going to utilize them. These days, if we have any difficult question, we do turn to ChatGPT for answers. So we asked ChatGPT this question: what's the future of Gen AI on EAC? And we got this reply from ChatGPT. Gen AI can help students improve their writing skills, can assist students in translating text from different languages, and provide students with interactive learning tools, blah, blah, blah. Wow. The response sounds very positive, right? Well, echoing ChatGPT, our team also think it's possible that the tool could have significant and positive impacts in several ways. Number one, if the Gen AI tool is able to generate high quality multimodal content, for example, combining text, images, and video effectively, it could help users create new types of multimodal genres that were previously difficult or time-consuming to create. This could spur innovation, teaching materials, and student assessments. Second, the Gen AI tool could also help researchers analyze and understand existing multimodal genres more effectively. For example, the tool could be used to automatically identify linguistic patterns or features across different types of multimodal content, and even to extract linguistic and communicative insight from large data sets of multimedia content. And one more significant impact. The Gen AI is changing the shape of teaching and learning substantially. This definitely will affect our future EAC direction. Gen AI has the potential to significantly impact the landscape of education, particularly in coursework assessment. For example, automated assessment. Gen AI system can be trained to evaluate assignment, taking into consideration factors like grammar, spelling, vocabulary, coherence, synthesis, and even creativity, they say. This can reduce the workload of subject teachers and language teachers and provide quick, objective feedback to students. However, there may be concerns about the accuracy and fairness of automated assessment, especially when dealing with complicated assignments. While Gen AI holds a lot of promise for enhancing assessment, it's important to consider potential drawbacks and challenges. For example, there may be concerns about data privacy and security, especially when using AI to analyze and store sensitive student information embedded in student assignments. And of course, there are also the issues of student copying and cheating with the use of Gen AI tools. Anyway, the arrival of Gen AI definitely is something exciting for us.
Exactly. This is an exciting time. Our team has been very blessed by a few government grants and faculty buy-in to do EAC and to engage in many language and teaching project and initiative, together with project staff and education technologists. Our approach of EAC implementation has always been grounded in WEC principles, As Vicky and Grace had described, we have tried our best to amass a concerted effort of faculty, language teachers, and instructional technologists to integrate writing into the curriculum and assessment, as well as to provide tailored and sustainable online resources to support our students. To ensure students are aware of our EAC support services, resources, and strategy, the team adopt a structured approach of providing briefing in lectures and workshops to students and faculty members. Faculty staff are our EAC collaborators. They are our allies in this uphill battle for maximizing and infiltrating English support to our students. We provide professional development workshop on pedagogy, curriculum, and assessment and publishing to arouse their interest in collaborating with us. Lastly, as what Elsa says, our digital generations would prefer 24/7 help during the writing process, be it in the planning, writing, editing stage. So our online and interactive tailor and discipline-specific learning resources, for example, the capstone project or online resources or online genre guide, would hopefully serve their needs and point them to our writing assistants. Given the emergence of the Gen AI, has been rapidly transforming our education, in particular English language education. The EAC team now is working on supporting multimodal genres, which we think would becoming increasingly important in student assessment in the disciplines, as judging the authenticity of students' input is recognized as challenging. To us, the concept of EAC may need redefinition, not just writing, okay? It could be writing, speaking, multimodal. In an era where English writing is becoming a less truthful and less reliable assessment of a student's competence of English. To finish our presentation and start our discussion session, we would like to throw out a few questions and we would like to hear from the audience, okay, from your experience. What kind of gap and challenges and needs you have experienced in your EAC implementation? And was your EAC work successful? Do you need extra resources? Or did you collaborate like us together with other institutions and faculties? How did you evaluate the effectiveness and the impact of your work? And we are also very interested in knowing your plan for the curricular and assessment plan in response to Gen AI. I will pass the ball to the floor. Okay, I will just pass the turn to the floor to listen to what you would like to ask or to share with us now. Yeah. I can, let me just change my glasses. Okay, I have my reading glasses. Okay, yeah.
I'm wondering how you came up with those.
Oh,
I mean,
the timely, the reason why we got to be timely, meaning because a lot of the time, as I explained earlier, the input of the English is normally happening in the first year or the first 1.5 year of the 4 year of curriculum. But by the time when they're in the final year, they have to write more complex writing. No, there's no English resources. There's no English lessons for them. So they can either, look up some online resources or they can come to the language centers, okay, for support, but we do not have tailored material for them. So we have to contact the program leader and ask them what are the major assignment and develop online self-assess material and train our writing assistants to know about the type of genre, the criteria that they are being judged on. So there's a gap because our resource, as I explained, okay, half of the university will finish all the English training within the first year or 1.5 year. They no longer have any English courses, and the faculty members only talk about content, but they expect them to produce the genre that they have never been taught. That's the reason why we have to make them ubiquitous, okay, and timely in the sense that we are trying to steal some of the time, okay, in the lectures in senior year to introduce our resources so that they know there's something ready for them to explore, okay, when they are writing.
So I wanted to, that's interesting, but I also want to know
Mm.
how did you come up with these three things in your discussion when all the team members got together and said, how do we do this?
How do we do this?
see
I
how
think,
that is-
okay, I'll just ask my team member. More or less, we have come up with these three values when we apply for our teaching grant, our university grant, commission teaching grant. We have to have a theme, a framework, and that's why we come up with these three values that are consistently running across our surfaces. Yeah, Ellen.
Related to student perception.
Mm.
Because I remember Grace just mentioned that some students have some concerns or issues about the impact on assessment criteria.
Yes.
Yeah, for example, there is a heavier weighting on communication. So, and then the weighting for content is actually a little bit less on the fiction.
10% less.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
also,
Grace, do you hear that?
Can't hear the question.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Right to Ellen.
Yeah, so my question is related to students' perceptions, especially on the impact on the assessment criteria. Yeah, so just now Grace mentioned some students have some concerns, about this kind of adjustments. Yeah, for example, there is a heavier weighting on communication, and they do not seem to be so happy about this kind of changes, right? Especially
Yes.
when their English competence is not that high. Yeah, so just
Yeah.
want to know if you and also the faculty members have done anything to pacify or convince the students about this kind of adjustments.
All right, so maybe I will give a little bit background information about this course more. At the beginning, when we first approached the faculty members, then he showed me the weighting of the English components, so-called English. They call it communications, and it was like 30%, and then the content is 70%. Then I talked to him, telling him that if he wanted students to put attention on the writing skills and also to put more efforts in establishing the ideas in terms of a connected piece of writing, then I said, at least it has to be 50-50, 50% on English and 50% on content. But then he weighted against, he evaluated my suggestions and came out with like 40% in the end, 40% for content and 40% on language and 60% on content. Students definitely were not happy, right? Because they knew from their previous, from the seniors, that they didn't have to write a connected essay. They just had to present the points and present the ideas in poem form. So at that time, I interviewed a few students, and then they said that it was much harder to write an essay in the essay format. So that's why they didn't like it, right? And then they thought, because the course itself is based on calculation, lots of mathematics, lots of formulas to learn for in this program. And so they have this preconception that, oh, we don't need to learn writing, and it's not necessary, it's not useful, right? But the thing is, the department thought they need some training on writing because the degree itself doesn't have much training on writing. So they use this course as a stepping stone to try to see how students get on with writing a long essay. And so that is this kind of background that the students have developed a little bit negative.
No pacifying. No pacifier. Okay, right here.
Yes.
I think I'm running the similar course at the CityU for logistics management science as well. is about calculation, but I think the professor from MIT insists they have to write a case study report, because in case study report is a kind of persuasion, okay, to your conclusion or your decision, your recommendation, and that would help them when they come to a case study competition, right? Now say they really want to send the students to case study competition. When they win the competition, it's a glory to the department. Right? Case competition is not only about calculation, it's about persuasion. It's a kind of grounded on writing. All right, so it's good training as well.
In fact, this kind of negative emotion towards English is quite common among the PolyU students, because most of the subjects are very technical, either calculation formula or algorithms, whatever, right? And so students don't actually like the idea of writing because it's much harder and much challenging. In one case, the departments in one course that we work with, applied physics, the coordinator would like to encourage students to interact with the panel during the final year project presentation. And he made the presentation, he called it interview, right? Deliberately. Because when I first look at the course outline, and I noticed it was a presentation, right? But then I asked him, why is it called interview, right? Because then he said he wanted students to be more communicative and more interactive in the presentation, rather than just presenting to audience in a one-way kind of format. And that's why then the teachers in PolyU generally feel that students will need to have better communication skills, but the students themselves don't perceive it this way, right? And the same is true in another program in EIE, Electronic and Information Technology. And the teachers also put in some communications elements in the assessments, but definitely students have lots of negative responses. Right.
So we got one question right here from the floor.
Hi, thank you so much for your presentation. I really enjoyed it. I did come in a little bit late, so hopefully my question is, hasn't been addressed in your presentation. I've seen the work you're doing across genres, across multimodalities. I just wonder, have you done any work across languages, or is it all in English? Okay.
Even though some of our language centers have Chinese and English or even foreign languages, but at the moment our team is working on EAC, English across the board.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any questions from the class?
Hi, thank you. My question is, I think it's related to on your last slide, you asked about more resources. And I'm curious about some of the resources you've developed. I'm really excited about the AI, the generative AI program for presentations, I love the Capstone Ninja app. That sounds like a lot of fun. And all the sort of web resources that you have. And I think there's some interesting potential to have the AI as it's feedbacking to start to suggest students towards resources, right? Kind of like a feedback loop for them. But the question about resources I have is, are you all software developers in your free time? Like, or do you, have you seen, or do you, how do you get those kinds of programs developed? And have you seen your own digital literacy skills start to evolve?
We are basically we have software, we have educational technologies to do with parts. We are thinking about the infrastructure, the design, okay, the content builder. We are doing that part. Is that paid for by the grant? Is that paid for by the grant? So you collaborate with we collaborate with software engineer. Okay, educational technologist is a term we use it. Okay, in local. So we have a concept. We discuss how feasible those concepts could come into reality, and then they will feedback and tell us what are feasible. right? And sometimes because our dream grow very big to have the HI, as what Elsa said, we collaborate with EE department. Polly is from Vicky. Polly is from
EIE, Electronic and Information.
electronic engineering. So some of
Yeah.
the professor would like to collaborate with language teachers in research as a
Yeah.
new research topic.
That's
that
one
is how-
platform. Yes.
Hmm.
That's one platform for allowing students to attend some AI interviews that developed by PolyU computing teachers. And we have been invited to grade students' interviews. And I think they are comparing the human grading and the AI grading. And in fact, I have done some kind of initial comparisons by inviting a few colleagues to use an established AI system. And a few teachers, experienced teachers in teaching interviewing skills, have graded the AI interviews by our students. And we found that our grading actually align quite well. So whenever we grade the students low, the AI grade is also on the low side.
So
But
I think,
then-
I mean, it's mutually beneficial because we start off
Yes.
with an idea in education, and the faculty staff will see it as a way of collaborating us with a language teacher in publication. We co-write journal articles, book chapters. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Any more questions from the floor? So if not, we are closing to the end of the session. Thank you very much for coming to our session. Okay, on your question. Okay, we hope you enjoyed it. And if you have further question, you can contact us. Our email is actually on the program. Yeah, thank you.
How can we enroll?
I just wanted to thank your team for such a splendid job in this presentation, and thank you for coming and joining us at 11:30 p.m.
Yes.
Have a good night.
Thank you,
Now
everybody.
we are going to Julia's session.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Some more time before the Julia. Okay, just say Julia. Okay, Julia's here.
Hi, Julia.
Wow, Julia looks very nice.
靚靚睇啦。